It is 7:10 now. Thanks so much for staying with us here on Daybreak. Well, poets and performers are going to be taking the stage for a one-of-a-kind event, Cayman's first poetry festival. Here with us this morning, we have some of the performers. We have Fiona Pimentel, Kevin Crary, as well as Michael Powery. Good morning. How are you all?
Good morning.
Very well.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Very interesting. I know I've said it here on the show so many times before, but the art and culture scene in Cayman just continues to grow and grow and grow, and this is just another example of that. But I think it's really interesting how the Poetry Festival came to be. Can any one of you share the origins of it and how it came out?
Okay, the Poetry Festival is the result of many years of poetry and actually nosotros. Let me explain a little bit for. Poetry is a free poets meeting that we used to have at Camana Bay Books and Books every month, every third Wednesday. We used to get there to poets and performers and poetry lovers. But we were doing that in English for many years. So recently we decided to found another group which was in Spanish as well. We have some Spanish-speaking poets, writers, and audience as well. Having fun on that, and we decided just to move forward and get a step forward on these kind of things because this is something good, and we're having a good support from people, from organizations, and we say, well, why not? Why not to move forward? And we shake around with other person and say, we realize that we don't have a poetry festival on Cayman Islands.
Right.
So we decided to say, why not?
And even though Floetry and Nosotros are open to the public, sometimes when you think about that thing, it's really the people that are attracted to that. But this Poetry Festival is really opening up to an even wider audience and maybe inspiring some poets to really bring out their talent and showcase their talent in the future. Fiona, let's talk a bit about your poetry and what we can expect from your performance.
Okay, well, my poetry is very simple poetry, so it's great for people who think they don't like poetry or they think that poetry is too clever or something like that. I just write very, very simply. I started with just expressing emotion, and then I went from there. I wanted to prove that I could kind of write other things, so I'm on a website called allpoetry.com where you do contests, so you might end up writing about something you know nothing about and you have to research it. And it maybe sounds as if you try and write it in a way that it sounds as if you're actually really feeling this thing, when in fact it's nothing to do with your true feelings.
And they say write what you know, right? So this is really pushing you beyond your boundaries as well, and I'm sure it's making you grow in your art.
Yes, I think so. It's fun, it's challenging, so I enjoy it. Yeah.
Kevin, let's talk a bit about your poetry.
Well, I do what we call a dub poetry. It's mainly done to music, but it can be done without music. But it's unique in the sense that it incorporates a lot of dialect. So, you know, it's not standard English, but it's done in a way that you can appreciate if you like listening to standard English. It is almost like I would call it rebel poetry, and I'll tell you why. It mirrors society and it asks questions about society. It doesn't just, adhere to the status quo. It's provocative and it's inquisitive. And it's intuitive. Put them all together, So it has a different style to it. It has a different character, and I like what Michael has been saying, and I love what Fiona is saying. We keep doing it different to attract a wider audience, And there are persons that are not necessarily avid readers or poetry lovers, but the Poetry Festival extends. It goes beyond passion for reading or writing. It encompasses now performance.
Right.
So if you like seeing people perform, you can be at the festival. If you don't just love listening to poetry.
And there are so many performers, 19 in total, some very familiar names like Nassara Saku-Shillette, as well as Quincy Brown, Lorna Reed, as well as some names that people aren't that familiar with as well. So really, there's going to be a variety of poetry styles, and people are really going to be exposed to, I think, the type of poetry they didn't know existed before. Do you agree?
Sure, indeed. There's something curious about this festival is that we are promoting different languages in the poetry in the festival. We're going to have Spanish. We're going to have Spanish performances and Hindi performances as well.
Oh wow! So a multicultural event.
A multicultural event. That's one of the main goals of the festival, to